be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps support the show. Today's video is also brought to you by my Teespring store, I guess. I essentially just like put stuff on there. If you like merch and you would like to buy merch, you can go there and buy merch. Links are in the description, and you should possibly be able to see like a little storefront on YouTube. I don't know how things work. What's up, Planeswalkers? Derek Six back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Today, we're going to be playing a budget deck. I know that I have had a couple of requests to do budget decks, and for what it's worth, I didn't technically build this deck, okay? But not everyone watches Star City Games. So this is something that I called Budget Bikes, and I was looking over the mechanics in Ikoria because I wanted to make it be Ikoria focused. So I was looking over the mechanics in Ikoria, and I was trying to find which mechanics had enough like juice in the uncommon slot, and I realized that both all Savai Thundermane, Reptilian Reflection, and Zenith Flare were all uncommon. So I was like, okay, I remember seeing them play a deck like that used these cards on Star City Games. So I went over, and apparently there aren't a ton of cycling cards that are better. So this is almost entirely the same deck as they played over there. I did make a couple of changes, but for the most part, I did import the deck, make a couple modifications. I will still go over all of the cards. I just want to say that this is the modification I made. I put in a Vantasaur into the deck. It swapped for the 2 shredded Sels that were in the main deck. And the reason for this is during the course of their gameplay, which I'm actually going to link below, if you don't watch Star City Games, when they are kind of doing their brewing when a new set comes out, I think it's really helpful. It helps me kind of think of new ideas because I'm not a brewer, so... But during the course of that, they said that cycling 2 isn't really great when you're trying to get a lot of them in. So I decided that even though we're probably just never actually casting this card, it might be more valuable than having a shredded Sels, which we are likely not going to see too much use in Best of 1. We'll see how that happens, but still. We have 4 Flourishing Foxes. This is a good old 1-mana 1/1. But it can get really big really fast. So you can, whenever you cycle another card, you put a 1/1 counter on it. If you, go turn 1 Flourishing Fox, turn 2 Flourishing Fox, cycle something, you have, 4 power on board on turn 2. It is a lot of cards, but when you're cycling something, it's not that you're casting a spell, right? You're redrawing it, essentially. That can't be countered, right? Cycling is an activated ability. So I guess technically you could get countered via something like Trick Bind or something. But the main thing here, right, is that you're going to still be able to go through a decent amount of your deck once you start the cycling ball rolling. So a card like this can get really big really fast. We're also running 4 Footfall Craters. This one really is kind of just for the cycling. It's, cycling 1, which is fantastic. And for what it's worth, the majority of the cyclings in here are colorless. I think all of them might be. And it's just a little bit better to have colorless cyclers so that it's a little easier on your mana, especially that kind of the situation that we'll talk about in a second. But if you have to, you totally can cast this and make it so that you can give some of your bigger things haste. If you're going to be, you just need a little bit extra oomph, you can, play your Savai Thundermane and cycle, or not cycle, and have this land down and you just get in for an additional 3. So that's always nice. Then we have 4 Valiant Rescuer. It's a 2-mana 3/1 with upside. Whenever you cycle another card for the first time each turn, unfortunately it only is once a turn. This one is just whenever, but it's still fine. You create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. That ain't bad. You're getting some decent value here. It's permanence, that's right. You're getting some decent value here, which is just great. And besides, it's a 2-mana 3-power threat, right? This is some really aggressive stuff. 4 Drannith Stingers. This is 2-mana 2/2. Whenever you cycle another card, no restriction on the number of times, deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is a little bit of over-the-head reach. If you're just sitting with your opponent having a decent, blockade against you, you could just be like, all right, I'll cycle this, deal 1 to you, cycle this, deal 1 to you, cycle this, deal 1 to you, because you're just drawing a bunch of cards whenever you cycle things, and that's always nice to see. Savai Thundermane is a good old-fashioned 2-mana 3/2. Whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2. I don't love that you gotta pay 2, but for what it's worth, it's fine. If you, when you do, it deals 2 damage to our creature and you gain 2 life. It can't hit Planeswalkers, which is unfortunate. The card would be more interesting if it hit planeswalkers, but whatever. But it helps a lot in the aggressive matchups, right? Being able to essentially pay 3 mana to kill something of theirs and gain some life and potentially attack in because you've maybe gotten rid of their only blocker. Excuse me, goodness. Is just fantastic. And of course, you know, it's a 3-2. Go for Blood, it's a fight card. It's a sorcery speed fight card, but it also just has cycling for 1. That's pretty much it. Reptilian Reflection, 3 mana enchantment, and you might be saying, that just sounds bad. Well, whenever you cycle a card, you may have Reptilian Reflection become a 5/4 dinosaur creature with trample and haste in addition to its other types until end of turn. So it gains trample, and it gains haste. That's pretty good. So essentially, on turn 4, you can play this, cycle a card, and attack with a 5/4 that has trample and haste. That ain't bad. And what's really nice is that because this reverts back to being an enchantment, it dodges a lot of board wipes. Now, obviously, Teferi, annoying asshole, is still in the format, but for the most part, you can dodge board wipes, which is really cool. I'm going to skip over this real quick and go to Rooting Moloch. So this is a 5 mana 4/4. Very rarely are you going to cast this. If you do, though, you get to exile something with cycling from your graveyard, and then you get to play it until your next turn. That's nice, sure, but also it just cycles for 2. Yeah, just cycles for 2. Then we have 2 Imposing Vantasaur, as I talked about a little bit earlier. You're almost never casting this. If you cast this, it probably means you've lost by now, or it means that you're going to be needing a bit of a roadblock until you can reach a different card that we haven't talked about yet. But otherwise, it just cycles for 1. Zenith Flare is like the powerhouse of the deck. It deals X damage to any target, so you can hit creatures, planeswalkers, or foes. And you gain X life, where X is the number of cards with a cycling ability in your graveyard. So let's go ahead and look through that. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, not 5, 5, 6, 7. So, you know, that's 24, 26, right? Almost half of our deck. Not include. We haven't even included the lands yet. We have 4 lands. So, but almost half of our deck has cycle. Which means you get your opponent to like 12, 14, you could easily just dome them 2 turns in a row. And this is instant. And if nothing else, it gains you life. So if you're fighting against an aggro deck, you can pick off one of their threats and gain some life. It's just a fantastic card. Definitely the glue that holds the deck together. Now, what was I talking about earlier when I said the mana-based situation? So, technically, the only rares in this deck, in the main deck at least, are 4 Sacred Foundries and 4 Cycle Lands. Technically, you should run a mix of Savai Triome and Raugrin Triome. Wizards, why? Because both of these tap to add red or white, right? This is red, black, white. We don't need the black. This is red, blue, white. We don't need the blue. Unfortunately, I only have 1 of each of these, and I'm out of rare wildcards. So it actually makes a lot of sense that this is the budget deck I'm making. Because a lot of the other budget decks, I still want to include a certain number of rares, and I can't. So we're here, which is nice. Ketria only taps for red, Indatha only taps for white, but a lot of the times, you're just going to be cycling these anyway. So hopefully, it's not too much an issue. For what it's worth, you can just replace these with basics. And it should be fine. It does decrease the count of cycling in the main deck, though, so that is something to be aware of. I'm not going to go over the sideboard. I think that Star City Games does a lot better of a job in both their video as well as their article. They write an article for these. Yeah, you know, we'll go into standard, sure. Or we'll go into ranked, sure. But they do a really good job of talking about why they've chosen the sideboard cards they've chosen. One of the things that I do want to address is the fact that this... Great name. Would there have been a better person to be Dr. Oh my god, is Yorion like the new flavor? This is fine. I think we're probably going to cycle this on turn 1. Are we? I don't know. We might. Opponent is playing 80 cards. Sure. No, I don't think I want to cycle it. I think I'll keep it. Just hope I draw land. Hell yeah. Got there. Okay. This is a budget deck, and it's an aggro deck. Typically speaking, budget decks are more likely to be aggressive decks because of the concentration of power and aggressive decks being at the lower mana costs, and the lower mana costs often being a higher power level. So they got rid of that card, which, you know, makes a lot of sense. Do I want to cycle anything right now? I'm going to cycle this now, because we might get a 2-drop. We did not. So I'm going to end the turn and cycle Rooting Moloch on my opponent's turn. So the deck is running 22 lands, however, with the amount of cycling. With the amount of cycling, that's pretty helpful, although we're probably just going to get screwed. I mean, our opponent is at, well, I guess they're at 15 now. Shoot. Okay, so we have the Savai Thundermane. And we pass. We're going to want to get use out of this ability, so I don't think I'm actually going to cast, or I'm not going to cycle these just yet. And I might actually be casting this. Right now we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 cards in the graveyard with cycling. Okay. Fires of Invention, sure. What you going to cast? Teferi. I think I'm actually going to cast this on one of my lands next turn so I can just kill Teferi. Oh, they bounced that instead. Okay.
Let's try this.
Okay, so we have a Savai Triome. We'll just cycle this. I will pay for it. I always forget. I always forget. I always forget. I literally was just talking about it. Oops. For what it's worth, I was probably losing that game anyway. It feels so stupid. Another content creator would have restarted the video or edited that out. Not me. I need to show that you need to fucking pay attention when you're playing games and not talk to a camera. Ooh. Well, you know what? Actually, this is not bad. Yeah, we'll keep this. Tap. Play. If they have a creature cycle. I keep forgetting that this doesn't hit planeswalkers because I just expect it to, like, gutturally. Just part of me demands it. Whatever. Leave my Thundermare alone. You coward. This Simic Flash might be Simic Flash. Alright. And I attack, and I can hold up the cycle in case this is Flash, and this is a Brineborn Cutthroat. Words are incredibly hard. Well, just an Omen of the Sea. Sure. One on top, one on bottom. Not what I'd like to see. We're going to cycle this, see if we can get another 2-drop. We are going to decline this. And not be a dumbass. Alright, so we're going to end the turn. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to go and cycle this. I want to get to something that I can cast that has cycling benefit. That's fine. If I Footfall Crater the plains, then I can play Thundermare and attack with both. Shh. No, I'm just going to be a little slow about it. They're playing Temur, so like I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing something similar to that. Sure. So if we win this game, it's probably going to be on the back of Zenith Flare. I wonder if they needed that. Okay, it doesn't seem like they did. Let's cycle Rooting Moloch here. Something I enjoy seeing. Looks like it might be another Aether Gust. It's always fun. Man, blue-green is a really strong color combination, isn't it? But I didn't get another green source or another red source, which is interesting. Brazen Borrower. Sure. I will play this. I do not think it's going to matter. Because I do not think... Man, I don't know if budget decks can even, like, try in this metagame. You know? Like, I didn't get the perfect curve, which meant that I just, like, couldn't even compete. Should I be cycling more proactively? Like, I've been trying to get some sort of value here. Looks like it might be... No, can't be Uro yet. This is probably going to get countered, but I need to deal damage. This can't block anything except unless it has flying. So we have 8 damage in hand. So I can theoretically... I mean, my opponent has something. Or not. I might be able to get them with back-to-back Zenith Flares. I can cycle this. If I draw a land, I can cycle this, do this end of turn, this on my turn. Do you just play Brazen Borrower here? I didn't even see what I scried. Okay, you have 7 mana. Reclamation? Yep, sure. By the way, this is the regular video. Since technically Fridays are meant to be Wildcard, I'm going to play... I have another video on the channel, except that video... I'm going to use it to tap things, I see. Do I want to keep this then? I don't know if that's worth it. A good old no from me. I have no idea if I'm meant to just Zenith Flare the crap out of my opponent here. I think the answer is yes. Because technically I can cycle this. Looks like they might be using something here. Just that, okay. To tap that down, sure. I'm not going to kill this. Yeah, I'm not gonna use the Savai because if I top deck a land, I can play it. A top deck an untapped land, I can play it, and then just hit my opponent. I'm gonna decline. Not what I wanted to see. Sure, I will play this though. Yeah. Okay. 3 Zenith Flares. They are hopefully going to do a lot of damage. My opponent still is not yet able to just use Uro. It's possible I got too greedy there. I should have just held up Zenith Flare. Growth Spiral, sure. Green... They don't have another green, though. We need another green mana in order to play that. I only have 2 mana. I'm going to cycle this. There, that is. So we're going to be at 11. Yeah, that's fine, bro. They have 1 card in hand. What are the chances that this is a Frilled Mystic? Sure. This is an untap, right? No. I'll cast this, see if I can bait out a counterspell. I don't like how long they thought about it. I'm gonna hold on their upkeep before they draw. That's fine. Because now if they use Castle of Ventress, I can just do it now. Interesting. So they would have had a counterspell. I should have waited. I shouldn't have shown them that they're going to be at 4. Because they gained information from that. That was wrong on my part. I'd block the Gedwick. Yeah, cool. No blocks. They didn't put a land in hand, which makes me assume they're all gas. But they could be doing that to trick me. Interesting. Force them to act now, because I can animate my Reptilian Reflection. Okay. So I gave them the opportunity. Yeah. Attack like this. Sure. Blocks the Thundermane. Sure. Okay, they're on 4. If I have to, I can animate this at instant speed, but I can also just get a chump blocker for this. They're still at a functional 7. I think I do Zenith Flare. So I Zenith Flare either if they go down far enough where... What does Thassa's Intervention do again? Unless it controls... Unless they have 3 mana, I guess? Jeez. Perfect, actually. This should be their death. Unless, of course, they had, like, a normal counterspell, like Neutralize or something. Do you just have Neutralize? That doesn't work the way they want it to, I don't think. Because it's based on the number of cards with cycling in their graveyard, which is 0. Yeah. Okay. I told you all, the Zenith Flare is the way this deck can win against, like, these super... I dealt how much damage, like, to them, actually? Not a lot. I did 14 total. So I've dealt a little over 6 damage because I did gain a bit of life. But absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a budget deck, I do think that this is a pretty good one. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's pretty helpful. I will say the unfortunate bit about this deck is that there isn't a ton of wiggle room in terms of what you can kind of put in. I did check the cycling from the other colors, and they weren't great. Because you really do prefer, like this one isn't terrible, right? You can make your creatures a little bit bigger. You know, you turn your 1/1s bigger. You can turn this into a 4/4 base, so its counters are even nicer, and it has cycling 1. But I think that's kind of it. Like this is 5 mana. Like it's not great. 6 mana is not great. There's an argument to be made for Shark Typhoon, but you know it not the best. Typically, you're going to want things that are colorless cycling. So you know, adding blue would really only be this, and I'm not sure it's worth the mana. I mean, technically, you have the Jeskai Triome anyway, but it does. Going to 3 colors does increase your mana costs, your actual mana costs. Easy Prey. Typically, you want to be playing a creature on turn 2, and Go for the Blood just has a better cycling cost. Then these just like aren't great cycling, and then green like has nothing. Yeah, green has utter trash. So it really does seem to be just these. Maybe you could make a justification for splashing Startling Development just because it is relatively strong, you know, being able to buff your otherwise small creatures, and it has a really cheap cycling cost. So I could definitely see justification for that, especially if you have access to a more expensive mana base. But it really would just be that, and it'd be for like 2 Imposing Vantasaurs, maybe 1 Go for the Blood, 1 Rooting Moloch, I think, is what you could do. But you know, again, it does make the deck a little bit less consistent. But yeah, the Zenith Flare, as I said, was the top notch. And so in the description, as I said, will be a link to the Star City Games video that I pulled this deck from. And in the description of their video, they have a link to their articles talking about the decks and stuff. And as I said, I really do suggest when you're looking for builds to cast a wide net. You know, I don't watch Star City Games all that often, but I really do like the Versus series, like right at the beginning of new sets, because they're brewing cards, they're brewing decks that I don't have the skill to do. You know, yet you have to respect that. And it's not, you know, not just Giblus. What was this? Sorry. Oh, so another thing that I want to mention to all of you. Actually, you know what? I will have already mentioned that in my Nico Bolas historic video that's going to be coming up at midnight my time, which would be midnight your time, but in the past for you. Or yeah, brain hurt. But yeah, I'll talk about that later / over there. Yeah. Would like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Zen, for the continued support. If you'd like to join them supporting the show, you'll find links to that down in the description below. I do, of course, hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, tap that like button, add subscription to your mana pool, cast a comment in the comment section down below, pass the turn in the vid to some of your friends, and of course, until next time, I will be one.